that they are not separate from our spiritual path, but central to it. Every ache is a message. Every breath is a prayer. Every pause is a portal. And through these, we come home to ourselves. As we continue to deepen this practice, we begin to trust life more. We realize that just as sensations rise and pass, so do emotions, thoughts, and circumstances. Nothing stays forever. And in this impermanence, we find grace. We learn to savor joy while it lasts, and to weather pain knowing it too shall pass. We become less afraid of change because we are rooted in something deeper, our own awareness, our own breath, our own being. So let us return to the body, not as an afterthought, but as a temple. Let us walk its corridors with reverence. Let us listen to its whispers. Let us honor its wisdom. For in doing so, we unlock a deeper dimension of peace, presence, and purpose. And that truly is the beginning of a life transformed. Sometimes the weight of our emotions can be so silent, so well hidden, that we carry it like a shadow across every room we enter. It lingers in our smiles, echoes in the pauses between words, and tightens its grip when we try to be still. But there exists a pathway, a gentle yet profound one, that allows us to loosen the grip of these emotional burdens. In Buddhist wisdom, this path is often lit by the quiet practice of body scan meditation. It's not dramatic, it doesn't shout for attention, and it doesn't need you to be perfect. It just asks you to listen to your body, to your breath, and to your own stillness. And when you do, something begins to change. Something softens. Imagine lying on your back in a room dimly lit by the evening sun slipping through half-drawn curtains. The world outside might still be busy, rushing from task to task. But here, in this pause, everything slows. With each breath, your awareness begins its journey from your toes upward, like sunlight traveling slowly across the floor of a quiet room. You notice the subtle warmth in your feet, the pressure where they rest, the slight tingling perhaps. You don't judge, don't wish them to be different. You simply observe. This, in essence, is the heart of the body scan. As you breathe into this space, your attention moves up the legs, over the knees and thighs. You become the gentle witness to sensations you didn't even realize you carried. Tightness, fatigue, tension you've long ignored. There's no rush, no finish line to reach. Every inch is its own chapter in the story of your being. This practice, though often simple in structure, becomes a mirror. It shows you where you're holding stress, where you're resisting rest, where you've been too harsh with yourself. This meditation, born from the mindful traditions of Buddhism and refined through therapeutic practices in the modern world, offers more than just physical relief. It opens doors to understanding the emotional landscapes that have settled into your very bones. Each ache or ease becomes a message, a whisper from the body asking for compassion, not correction. Some who've walked this path share stories of nights once spent tossing in anxiety, now replaced by quiet, deep sleep. Others talk of moments during the day when, instead of reacting with tension to an unexpected problem, they paused, breathed, and allowed their body's wisdom to guide them calmly through the moment. It's not magic, but it is transformation, and it begins simply by noticing. For those who feel too burdened to sit in silence or too restless to meditate, Body Scan offers a refuge. It asks for presence, not perfection. You can lie down with the noise still buzzing in your head and begin anyway. As your attention travels slowly up your torso, through the spine and shoulders, you might find tension there. You might find the remnants of old stress that settled in long ago. But with every out-breath, you have the power to let go, just a little more each time. And as your awareness gently explores your arms, your hands, your fingertips, you begin to realize how often these parts of your body give and do without being acknowledged. How many things have your hands held that you didn't allow yourself to feel fully? The body remembers, and this practice allows you to listen. Then there's the neck, where unspoken words and swallowed emotions often reside. In the face, where even joy sometimes feels heavy. You observe it all, not to fix it, but to honor it. In doing so, you reclaim parts of yourself that modern life often demands you forget. Over time, this daily ritual doesn't just help you sleep better or relieve pain. It teaches you how to be present with yourself. It shows you the parts of your body that crave rest, the places in your spirit that long for forgiveness, and the rhythms of your breath that want to be heard. And when you complete the scan, not in a rush, but as a gentle conclusion to a sacred self-encounter, you find yourself more grounded. Not because everything outside you has changed. It invites us to become intimate with ourselves in a way that few other practices allow. As we lie still and guide our awareness from the tips of our toes to the crown of our head, we begin to realize how often we carry tension without noticing, how emotions root themselves in muscle memory, and how healing begins with acknowledgement. Each session becomes a mirror, revealing where our worries settle, in tight shoulders, clenched jaws, or restless legs. We notice patterns. We learn the language of our body, and perhaps for the first time, we truly listen. It is a humbling practice. There is no agenda, no striving, just a gentle intention to observe and let go. With each breath, we learn to soften. We send kindness to the parts of us that ache, not trying to change them, but simply holding space for them. Over time, something magical happens. The body begins to trust. It feels heard. And in that trust, it begins to relax. The nervous system calms. The mind quiets. A profound peace begins to bloom, not because life outside has changed, but because our inner relationship has. This embodied mindfulness creates a ripple effect. With greater awareness of our physical state, we start responding to life differently. Instead of pushing through discomfort, we pause. Instead of ignoring fatigue, we rest. Instead of reacting with frustration, we breathe. Our choices become more compassionate, not just toward others, but toward ourselves. And this compassion, rooted in awareness, transforms how we move through the world. We begin to walk with more gentleness, speak with more care, and hold our boundaries with more clarity. The body, once a battleground of stress and suppression, becomes a sanctuary of insight and healing. For those who struggle with chronic pain or emotional turbulence, body scan meditation offers an anchor. It doesn't promise to erase pain, but it teaches us to meet it with a different energy. We stop resisting and start relating. We stop numbing and start nurturing. And in doing so, we shift from being victims of our bodies to partners in healing. It's a subtle, quiet revolution, and its power lies in its simplicity. No elaborate rituals, no complex theories, just attention, just breathe, just presence. As we embrace this practice regularly, even a few minutes each day, it reshapes our internal world. We develop a new sensitivity, not a fragile one, but a wise one. We notice how certain environments, conversations, or habits affect us. We recognize the cues before burnout, before emotional breakdowns, before illness. We become our own healers, tuning in before things spiral out. This self-awareness becomes an act of profound self-respect. We begin to prioritize what nourishes rather than what depletes. We stop chasing validation and start cultivating alignment. But like any meaningful journey, this one is not without its challenges. The mind resists stillness. Discomfort arises, memories surface. And yet, each of these is part of the process. They are not obstacles, they are invitations. Invitations to meet ourselves more deeply, to hold space for the parts of us we've ignored, judged, or abandoned. And when we choose to stay, to breathe, and to listen, those parts begin to heal. They unfold, they soften, they integrate. Body scan meditation also teaches us patience. It reminds us that healing is not linear. Some days we feel connected and clear. Other days we feel scattered and numb. Both are valid. Both are part of the practice. The goal is not to feel a certain way. It's to be with whatever is, to meet it with openness, with curiosity, and with compassion. In doing so, we develop emotional resilience. We learn that we can hold pain and peace in the same breath. That discomfort doesn't define us. That joy doesn't have to be chased. It arises naturally when we stop resisting the moment. This presence, cultivated through body awareness, extends beyond the meditation cushion. It informs how we sit at our desks, how we hug our loved ones, how we sleep, and even how we eat. We become more attuned, more grounded, more alive. The world doesn't become less chaotic, but we become less reactive. We become a steady flame in the storm, and that steadiness becomes a gift, not just to ourselves, but to everyone we encounter. Because in a world that is constantly rushing, a calm presence is revolutionary. It says, "You are safe here. You are seen. You are enough." Incorporating body scan meditation into your daily life doesn't require hours. It requires intention. 5 minutes before sleep, a few breaths before a meeting, a quiet moment in the morning sun. These small rituals become doorways to deeper peace, and as they accumulate, they create a foundation, a rootedness in your being that cannot be shaken by external noise. This journey of embodied mindfulness is one of remembering that our bodies are sacred, that they carry stories, that they deserve kindness. And from this foundation of awareness, we move deeper to focused attention meditation, where the mind is trained to rest on a single point, like a candle's flame in a windless room. This practice isn't easy. The mind resists, rebels, wanders, but each time you bring it back, you sharpen it. You don't wrestle your thoughts into stillness. You guide them again and again, like a shepherd returning scattered sheep to pasture. In doing so, you build strength, clarity, and endurance. You learn that the mind is like a wild horse, not something to be feared, but something to be understood and gently directed. And as your attention steadies, you start to see more clearly, not just the world around you, but the world within you. You notice patterns. You notice how your thoughts follow familiar trails, often shaped by fear or desire. You notice how much time you spend chasing things that don't matter, and how rarely you pause to simply be. This is the real gift of focused attention. Not that it makes you better at doing, but that it deepens your capacity for being. There's something sacred about this process. It's not loud or dramatic. It's subtle, like the slow melting of ice in spring, like the way the sun returns after a long winter. With each breath, you thaw a little. With each return to your focus, you grow a little quieter inside. And in that quiet, something begins to shift. The noise of the world fades just enough for you to hear your own heart again. And maybe for the first time, you listen. For those who struggle to sit still, walking meditation offers another path. It's meditation in motion, a way of carrying mindfulness into your steps, your pace, your rhythm. You walk not to get anywhere, but to be where you are. Every movement becomes a message. I am here. I am present. I am alive. Your feet touch the earth like a prayer. Your breath synchronizes with the movement, creating a flow where body and mind meet. Distractions come, and you let them go, returning to the gentle lift and fall of your legs, the feel of the wind on your skin, the crunch of gravel beneath your soles. There's something grounding in this practice. It reminds you that you don't need to escape your body to find peace. You don't need to rise above your experience. You need only to enter it fully. Each step becomes a ceremony, each breath a blessing. The world doesn't disappear. It becomes more vivid, The trees seem taller, the air cleaner, the moment more sacred. And you realize that peace isn't somewhere else. It's right here, hiding in plain sight. Then there's Zazen, the core of Zen practice. Just sitting, nothing fancy, nothing added, no mantra, no visualization, no special breathing. You just sit and sit and sit. And in the beginning, it feels like nothing. But over time, it becomes everything. It becomes the place where illusions begin to dissolve, where the masks fall away, and what's left is only presence, pure, unfiltered presence. You see your thoughts, your stories, your fears. You see the ways you try to escape discomfort. And then something remarkable happens. You stop running. You sit with it all. And in that stillness, you begin to taste something deeper than peace. You begin to taste truth. Zazen teaches that you are not your thoughts, not your emotions, not your roles or your name or your past. You are the space in which all of these arise and fall. You are the awareness behind the experience. And from that awareness, everything changes. You act not out of habit, but from clarity. You speak not to fill silence, but from intention. You move not in haste, but with reverence. Life becomes a meditation, a reflection, a practice. Each of these practices, mindfulness, focused attention, walking meditation, Zazen, offers a doorway. You don't have to open them all at once. You don't have to master them. You simply begin. You begin wherever you are, with whatever breath you have, and trust that the journey will unfold. Because in this path, there's no finish line. Only the next step, only the next breath, only the unfolding of awareness, moment by moment, until you remember what you've always known deep down. That peace is not something you find, it's something you remember, something you uncover, something you become. In a quiet moment of reflection, we often find that the most powerful lessons don't come from the outside world. They emerge from within. It's in these still spaces that we recognize the intricate dance between mind and body and begin to understand how our thoughts and emotions manifest not just in our actions, but in the very physical sensations we carry. The practice of body scan meditation offers us a lens into this internal landscape, allowing us to observe, accept, and release what we didn't even know we were holding on to. This journey through the body, step by step, sensation by sensation, isn't about perfection, it's about presence. It's in these small, deliberate acts that the sacred reveals itself, not in grand revelations, but in the ordinary made luminous by your attention. Washing dishes becomes a dance of water and light. Drinking tea becomes a ceremony of warmth and stillness. These everyday acts, often rushed through or ignored, become places where presence lives and waits to be noticed. With each practice, you begin to understand a deeper truth, that you are not your thoughts. You are the space in which thoughts arise and dissolve. You are not your emotions. You are the field in which joy and sorrow play. You are not your roles, your history, your future. You are the awareness that holds it all. And this awareness is never broken, never lost. It's like the sky, untouched by the weather it holds. No storm, no darkness, no cloud can stain it. It remains vast and open, always ready to receive. As this truth settles into your bones, a quiet strength arises. You become less reactive, less rushed, less fearful. You find that in the pause between stimulus and response, there is space. And in that space, you have choice. The choice to act with intention, the choice to speak with kindness, the choice to live with heart. Mindfulness, then, isn't an escape from life. It's a deeper dive into it. It's a saying yes to whatever is here, with open hands and a soft gaze. It's not about getting it right. It's about showing up moment after moment with honesty and presence. And in that showing up again and again, something within you begins to wake up. Something that's been there all along, quietly waiting. Not a better version of you, but the truer one. The one who sees clearly, who loves deeply, who walks gently. You realize that peace was never somewhere else. It wasn't in the future. It wasn't in some perfect moment. It was here, now, waiting for your attention. And all it needed was your willingness to stop, to breathe, and to listen. In the everyday rush of life, it's easy to find yourself swept up in a stream of thoughts that seem to have a will of their own. The mind jumps from one worry to the next, pulling you in 1,000 different directions. But what if that didn't have to be the case? What if instead of being led by the mind, you could learn to guide it, to sit with it, to listen, not to its noise, but to its silence? That question alone has led countless seekers on a journey inward, where they've discovered that peace isn't something to chase, but something to uncover. Through centuries of Buddhist wisdom, a tapestry of practices has been handed down, each one a thread designed to weave mindfulness into the fabric of our daily lives. These are not abstract ideas meant for dusty temples or distant mountaintops. These are practical paths, ways of being, breathing, walking, seeing. They exist to bring clarity to chaos, stillness to motion, awareness to routine. And at the center of this is not doctrine, but discipline. Not in a rigid or punishing sense, but in the form of loving, intentional effort. It's the kind of discipline that teaches you to be here, now, without resistance. That reveals how the present moment, simple and unnoticed, holds a depth so vast it can transform your entire experience of being alive. Among the many pathways toward inner stillness, mindfulness meditation stands like a gateway. It's the first breath before the plunge. It's where most begin, and where even the most seasoned return. Because in a world of urgency, simply sitting becomes a rebellion, a quiet, profound rebellion against distraction. You sit and you notice. You notice the way your chest rises and falls. You notice the chatter of your thoughts like birds flitting across the sky of your mind. And you don't chase them. You just watch. You sit in the eye of the storm and realize that peace doesn't come from escaping the noise. It comes from no longer being bothered by it. Mindfulness isn't about perfection. It's not about emptying the mind completely or achieving some mystical state. It's about presence, about cultivating a space within yourself where you can meet whatever arises, joy or sorrow, tension or ease, without clinging to it or pushing it away. It's about realizing that everything passes. Every thought, every feeling, every heartbeat is transient. And in this realization, you become free, not because you've escaped life's turbulence, but because you found stillness within it. For some, the first taste of this comes from guided sessions, from the steady voice of a teacher reminding you to return to your breath. For others, it's found in silence, in solitude, in those early moments of dawn when the world is quiet and the mind hasn't yet remembered its restlessness. Wherever you find it, mindfulness invites you to stay, to dwell not in the past or the future, but in this breath, this step, this sensation. Over time, it changes everything, not because life itself changes, but because your relationship to it does. But never permanent. Through the time-tested path of mindfulness, we find a way not to stop the wind, but to anchor ourselves while it moves. And in doing so, we discover something extraordinary. That peace isn't found in silence or in the absence of chaos. It's found in the middle of it, when we're able to breathe deeply and say, I'm here, I see it, and I'm okay. Mindfulness isn't just sitting with your legs crossed, closing your eyes and waiting for something mystical to happen. It's about becoming aware of the breath, of the sensations in your body, of your thoughts as they come and go like waves. It's about not judging them, not clinging to them, and certainly not running away from them. It's about sitting in the center of your experience and letting it unfold with curiosity rather than fear. The breath becomes your companion, your grounding point, a quiet rhythm that reminds you you're alive, you're present, you're home. The beauty of mindfulness is that it asks for nothing but your attention. It doesn't matter where you are, what you're doing, or what kind of day you've had. You could be standing in a grocery line, driving through traffic, sitting at your desk, or walking in a park. Mindfulness follows you. It walks beside you quietly, always ready to hold your hand when the weight of everything becomes too much. Centuries ago, long before the modern world rushed forward with its deadlines and distractions, mindfulness was a cornerstone of inner exploration in Buddhist teachings. It wasn't treated as a trend or technique. It was a way of seeing clearly, a path to awakening. Teachers and monks who followed this path knew that by training the mind to return to the present, again and again, you could slowly chip away at the illusions that cloud our lives. The illusion that happiness lies elsewhere, that peace is conditional, that worth is something to earn. They taught that awareness, simply by itself, held immense healing power. The kind of awareness that doesn't try to fix or change what it sees. The kind that just witnesses with compassion and steadiness. This alone can dissolve layers of anxiety, fear, and restlessness. Not all at once, but in a gradual softening, like the sun rising over a frozen field, warming it inch by inch until it melts. That's what mindfulness does to the mind. In more recent times, mindfulness has crossed cultures and languages. It's been studied by scientists, applied in therapies, introduced in classrooms and boardrooms. From hospitals to prisons, it's found a place. And wherever it goes, it brings with it that quiet reminder. Be here, just here, because here, in this very moment, is your life. A common method used to begin practicing mindfulness is focused attention on the breath. The breath is always with us, always available. It doesn't require belief. It doesn't ask for effort. All it needs is your notice. When you sit quietly and allow your awareness to rest on your inhale and exhale, you begin to notice how busy the mind is. You may be shocked at first. It jumps from thought to thought, some familiar, some random, all urgent. But instead of following those thoughts, you bring your focus gently back to the breath, over and over again. It's not about silencing the mind. That would be like trying to stop a river from flowing. It's about noticing the current, observing its movement, and choosing not to be swept away. The magic isn't in staying perfectly focused. It's in returning every time you drift. That return, that gentle redirection, is the heart of mindfulness. It's a reminder that no matter how far you stray, you can always come back. Over time, something subtle yet profound begins to shift. Your relationship to your thoughts changes. You no longer believe every story your mind tells. You stop chasing every fear. You stop clinging to every desire. You begin to see thoughts for what they are. Temporary visitors. Some useful, some not. Some comforting, some painful. But all just passing clouds in the vast sky of your awareness. That awareness grows stronger each time you practice. Each moment you choose presence over distraction, patience over reaction, curiosity over judgment. You reinforce a new way of being, and it ripples out into your life in ways you don't expect. You become more patient with others, more forgiving of yourself. You notice the colors in the sky, the softness in someone's voice, the quiet peace of just being. As your mindfulness deepens, you begin to explore other methods of meditation, each offering its own doorway into the present. One of the most accessible is walking meditation. It's a moving form of mindfulness that brings attention to each step, each shift of weight, each connection of foot to earth. You walk slower than usual, not to go anywhere, but to feel each moment of movement. The rhythm of your steps becomes a mantra. The world around you sharpens into focus. Trees breathe. Wind whispers. Your body awakens. There were moments now when he would sit by the window, watching the day unfold, and feel a strange but powerful peace in not needing to do anything at all. The world moved on outside. Cars passed, people hurried, and he remained still, not because he was paralyzed, but because he finally knew that his worth wasn't defined by motion. That peace, that ability to simply exist, was something he had yearned for without even knowing it. Now that he had tasted it, he guarded it like a sacred fire, not by isolating, but by choosing what fed his soul and what didn't. He had come to appreciate the ordinary, deeply, reverently. Where he once sought grandeur and significance in milestones and moments that would shine on the surface, he now found his spirit stirred by the smallest things. The sound of his footsteps on a quiet path, the steam rising from a fresh cup of tea, the steady rhythm of rain hitting the window at night. These weren't just details anymore. They were invitations. Invitations to presence, to gratitude, to a kind of gentle awe that made the mundane feel miraculous. There was a time when he thought awakening would feel like a dramatic shift, a loud thunderclap, an undeniable event. But what he found instead was a slow melting, like ice softening under sunlight. His awakening came in whispers, not declarations, in noticing his breath, in choosing to respond instead of react, in recognizing a trigger and choosing compassion instead of defense. He saw that awakening wasn't a singular event. It was a constant unfolding, a moment-to-moment choice to return to who he truly was, beneath the fear, beneath the armor. He had learned that love wasn't always loud either. Love wasn't always dramatic, poetic, or overflowing with grand gestures. Sometimes love was quiet. It was a text checking in. It was remembering someone's favorite snack. It was listening, really listening, when someone spoke. And most importantly, it was the way he began to love himself. Not by fixing everything, but by honoring everything. By looking at his scars and not rushing to hide them, but rather seeing them as the maps of his journey, evidence of where he had been and how far he had come. The more he embraced stillness, the more he realized how much of his life had been lived from reaction rather than intention. He would absorb other people's energy and call it his own. He would take on expectations and wear them like truth. But now he asked more questions. Whose voice is this? Whose urgency am I carrying? What is actually mine? These questions were less about rebellion and more about reclamation. Reclaiming space, reclaiming voice, reclaiming the quiet wisdom that had been waiting patiently beneath the noise. He had stopped placing pressure on himself to have an answer for everything. There were days when all he had were questions, and that was okay. He didn't need certainty to move forward. He needed trust. And trust, he found, was a practice, a posture, a willingness to move even when the path wasn't fully lit. He trusted his intuition more now, that subtle knowing that came not from logic, but from the body, from the heart, from something ancient and honest. He didn't need to justify it, he just followed it. He began to appreciate solitude in a new way, not as something to escape, but as something to return to. He noticed how much clarity arrived in those moments alone, without the need to explain himself, without the expectations of anyone else's energy, just him, with his breath and his thoughts, stripped bare of pretense. That was where his truest voice lived. And in those moments, he didn't feel alone. He felt whole, complete, grounded. He had let go of the fantasy that peace was a destination, some mountaintop experience to be achieved after all the chaos had ended. Peace, he found, was not about escaping difficulty. It was about meeting difficulty differently. It was in the breath he took before responding to something triggering, It was in the pause between emotion and reaction. Peace wasn't about what was happening around him. It was about how he held himself within it. And that kind of peace was unshakable. It didn't come and go with the weather. It lived in him. He didn't need big moments to feel meaningful anymore. He felt connected in the way sunlight fell through the trees, in how his body moved through the day without needing to perform. He felt joy in quiet conversations, in being fully present with someone he loved. These moments didn't need to be recorded or posted or remembered forever. They just needed to be lived fully. That was enough. He had stopped trying to heal by fixing. There was a time when every wound felt like a problem to be solved, but now healing felt more like holding, like sitting with the ache and whispering, "I'm here." Like letting grief rise and fall without interruption, like giving his past selves the forgiveness they never asked for but always needed. Healing wasn't linear, it wasn't pretty, and it wasn't about becoming someone else. It was about returning over and over to who he had always been beneath the fear. He saw how often he had confused being agreeable with being kind, but they were not the same. Agreeableness often came from fear, of rejection, of conflict, of being too much. But kindness came from love, and real love tells the truth. Real love holds boundaries. Real love doesn't abandon self to keep the peace. And so now he practiced a kindness that included himself, a kindness that didn't always look nice, but always felt honest. He began to honor his rhythms. There were days when he had energy and days when he didn't. He no longer forced himself to perform consistency for the sake of appearances. He was learning to work with his energy, not against it, to rest when his body asked, to move when inspiration stirred, to listen when silence called. Life wasn't linear, and neither was he, and that was no longer something he judged. It was something he cherished. There was a new kind of courage in him now, not the kind that charged into battle or climbed mountains, but the kind that woke up every day and chose presence. The kind that allowed him to say no without guilt, to sit with discomfort without needing to escape, to love without needing to be loved back in the same way. That was the courage he carried now. Quiet, steady, unbreakable. And in this season of his life, what mattered most was no longer what he achieved, but how deeply he lived. Not what he accomplished, but how present he remained. Not who approved of him, but how aligned he was with his own soul. That was the measure. That was the rhythm. And in following it, he found a kind of fulfillment that was no longer attached to outcome. It lived in the process, in the practice, in the breath. He no longer chased the version of himself that he thought he should be. That version was always ahead, always out of reach, always dangling an idea of perfection he could never quite touch. For years, he ran after it. He built his life around it. He believed that once he caught up to that ideal, then peace would come, then self-love would be possible, then the restlessness would finally quiet. But peace didn't live in that chase. It lived in the pause. In the moment he turned inward and realized he didn't need to become anything more to be worthy of his own love. Who he was, right here, right now, was enough. There was something profoundly liberating in that realization. In no longer seeing his life as a project to be completed, but as a relationship to be nurtured. He started tending to himself the way he might tend to a garden, with patience, with gentleness, with a deep respect for the seasons. There were days when nothing bloomed, and instead of panic, he offered presence. There were moments of sudden growth, unexpected joy, and he didn't rush to document them or squeeze more from them. He simply breathed them in, because now he knew joy couldn't be captured, only experienced. He began holding space for the truth that two things could be real at once. He could be deeply grateful and still grieving. He could be healing and still hurting. He could be full of love and still carry sorrow. Life was no longer about choosing one state over another, but about learning to hold complexity without needing to resolve it. That was the essence of peace, not the absence of contradiction, but the soft acceptance of it. He stopped shrinking himself for spaces that didn't know how to hold his fullness. He used to edit himself, cutting away the parts that felt too loud, too sensitive, too honest, because he thought that was the price of belonging. But real belonging didn't ask him to hide. It welcomed his whole being, unfiltered. And so he stopped knocking on doors that required a smaller version of him to be let inside. He stood in his truth, quietly and firmly, and let the right doors open in their own time. He also stopped treating his past as something to be ashamed of. For so long, he had carried regret like a weight, wishing he'd chosen differently, loved differently, been more awake. But now he saw the path for what it was: necessary, honest, human. He forgave the boy who didn't know how to speak his needs. He blessed the man who stayed too long in places that couldn't see him. He wrapped his arms around all the versions of himself that once just wanted to feel safe. And in that embrace, he became whole again. He didn't need to explain his healing to anyone. The people who were meant for him felt it, even when they didn't fully understand it. They didn't require a breakdown of every boundary or a reason for every shift. They respected the space he took up. They held room for his evolution without taking it personally. Those were the people he cherished now. Not the ones who clung to who he used to be, but the ones who honored who he was becoming. He began to find beauty in transitions. Once the in-between felt unbearable. The space between the ending and the beginning used to trigger every insecurity. He wanted to skip over it, to rush to clarity, to fast forward to stability. But now he lingered in that liminal space. He walked slower through it, because he knew that's where transformation whispered. That's where the ground softened. That's where something new was allowed to take root. He started noticing how often his nervous system still carried the memory of times he wasn't safe. It showed up in the way he flinched at raised voices, in the tension in his jaw when things felt uncertain, in the way he over-explained himself to avoid being misunderstood. He didn't shame these responses anymore. He honored them. They weren't weaknesses. They were signals, proof of survival, echoes of a time when being careful was necessary. And now, with gentle awareness, he worked to remind his body, it's different now. You're safe. You can soften. He didn't wait for a crisis to rest anymore. He used to keep going until his body gave out, until his mind collapsed under the pressure. Rest was a reward, something earned only after he had proven his worth through exhaustion. But now rest was his right. It wasn't the opposite of productivity. It was part of it. Sacred, essential, non-negotiable. He rested because he wanted to show up whole, not hollow, because he finally believed that a well-rested version of him was more powerful, more present, and more at peace. He stopped resisting the moments when nothing made sense. There were times when life felt like static, when his usual tools no longer worked, when clarity seemed impossibly far away. He didn't panic in those moments anymore. He lit a candle. He put on soft music. He sat in the chaos with tenderness instead of judgment. Sometimes the most profound shifts came not through answers, but through the willingness to stay with the questions. He let softness be his rebellion. In a world that prized certainty, speed, and performance, he chose gentleness. He chose to be the quiet space in someone's noisy day, the slow breath in a hurried moment, the kind word where there could have been critique. And in that choice, he wasn't passive. He was powerful, because nothing is more subversive in a hardened world than a soft, open heart. He had stopped thinking he needed to earn his place in the world. There was a time when every step felt like a test. Every success was followed by the pressure to prove it wasn't a fluke. But now he lived with the quiet assurance that he belonged, not because he did something remarkable, but because he was here, breathing, existing, and that alone was miracle enough. He noticed how rarely he had celebrated the quiet victories. The day he chose to rest instead of pushing through. The moment he spoke his truth, even though his voice trembled. The time he forgave himself without needing an apology. These weren't the milestones others clap for, but they were the ones that changed everything. So now he paused to honor them. He lit candles for them. He whispered thank yous for them, because those moments, invisible to the world, were the ones that built the life he loved. He started to view endings not as failures, but as doorways. Not all doors close with a bang. Some clicked shut softly, some faded away slowly, almost imperceptibly. And now, instead of resisting those closings, he bowed to them, thanked them, released them. Not because they didn't matter, but because they had already done their work. Their chapter had ended, and he had a new one to write. He trusted now that what was meant for him would feel like alignment, not force. It would feel like an exhale, not a performance. It would feel like peace even in the unknown. And that kind of knowing, gentle, grounded, unshakable, became his guide. He didn't need signs or omens. His body spoke clearly when something was true. His spirit lit up when something aligned, and he listened. That was the miracle. He listened. In the constant noise of everyday life, it's easy to get swept up by the whirlwind of thoughts racing through our minds. We wake up, check our phones, race through routines, handle responsibilities, and by the end of the day, it feels like we've been running without taking a breath. But what if the direction of our thoughts wasn't something that just happened to us? What if we had the power to gently guide our minds instead of being dragged along by them? That very idea lies at the core of ancient wisdom that's been around for centuries, waiting to be rediscovered in our modern lives. And once we begin to explore it, the possibility of transformation opens wide before us. There's something incredibly humbling and empowering about realizing that our thoughts don't have to dominate us. They're not chains. They're more like wind, sometimes chaotic, sometimes gentle, always moving.